So after this method name, I can also provide a getter. So for example, other classes maybe want to actually access the value of this animal name variable. Look at this variable. This is private. When it is actually declared as private, it is not accessible outside of the class. So other classes would not be able to actually access the value of this animal name, and it's going to have their classes are going to have actually some problems regarding accessing the value of this animal name. So in that case, we are going to create a method that is called a getter. So public, and this time we are going to provide a return type for this method. So what is a return type? A return type means that this method is going to return something of that specific type that we are going to specify here. So here, for example, I am going to say that this method is going to return a value of type string. This method must return a value of type string, because here I said that the return type is string. But look at this method here. I said that this method is void. The return type of this method is void. Void means that this method does not need to return anything. It's just going to do some task. It's just going to assign this name to this animal name. It's not going to return anything. So public string, and now I can actually say the name. Always use your getter names with get. Start your getter names with get. So now actually I have a convention problem here. So what is that? Look at this set animal name method. I am using the camel case in order to name my method. So this convention is not used in C#. In C#, we are not going to start our methods with actual case letter. Always start your method names with capital letter, right? So this is another way of writing our methods, and this is actually a little bit specific to C#. For example, other programming languages such as Java, Objective-C, Swift, and other programming languages, they're going to use the camel case convention in order to name their methods. But in C#, actually it's better, and it's always recommended to write your names in this way. Start your method name with a capital letter, and the subsequent words also must actually start with capital letter, such as this one, set animal name. So here, when I say get, I should actually start my method with get animal name, right? And I put a pair of parentheses, so I do not provide a parameter for this method, because this method does not need a parameter, because this method is just going to return a value, okay? So I just open and close this method by using these curly braces. And here, inside this method, I can actually say return, okay, return animal name, semicolon, right? So if I actually delete this piece of code here, the compiler is going to actually give us an error. And if I hover over this error, it says animal.getAnimalName method, not all code paths return a value. And this means that this method must return a value of type string, because we specified that here. So inside this method, I must say return, okay? And I am going to refer to the name of this instance variable, animal name, semicolon. So now this method is going to return this animal name value, the value of this animal name instance variable. So why it is called instance variable, right? So I'll talk more about that later in a moment, actually. Let's actually look at this class. We have a variable, an instance variable. We provided a setter in order to set the value of this variable, and we provided a getter in order to get the value of this instance variable. So now let's see how we can use this class, right? I want to actually allow the other classes to use this class, this blueprint, in order to create animal objects. How? So at the top, you can see this main class.cs, or if you cannot actually find this class here at the top, you can actually open the Solution Explorer, View, Solution Explorer, right? And here, this window, inside this window, you can see that inside this namespace, classes and objects, we have this main class. Just click on it. And now it's going to open the main class for us. Inside the main class, we have the main method. I told you that this is actually the starting point of our application. This is the entry point. If we do not have this method, if we can actually eliminate this method, we cannot run our application. So inside the curly braces, or inside the scope of this method here, I can actually say, I'm going to actually use my animal class, right? You can see that we have an animal class, right? inside this method how we can actually create an object of type